All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle elders, a great millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you brothers out there pushing this word in love, truth, sincerity, and humility. Once again, it's the brother Shatia from the Chicago camp coming back to you with what I hope is another quick and edifying sit down. And we're going to start this off with 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. And it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. As we all know, bad Uncle Esau, so-called white man, the wild man, he is a master of the sleight of hand. He wants you to look left, he's doing something on the right. He's doing something that he wants you to look on the right, he's doing something on the left. Okay? And in this situation, it's one of those things where everybody is so focused on Minneapolis, which they should be. There's a lot of horrible things going on there. But in the meantime, while a lot of focus is on Minneapolis, the storm, and things of that nature, Indiana is putting the groundwork in for uh, uh, basically modern day internment camps. All right. So we're going to watch two videos and then we'll get some scripture.
Gets a new armed force in Indiana? Indiana lawmakers spent more than 2 hours debating a bill critics called dangerous. House Bill 1343 would allow the Indiana National Guard to create a military police force. Under the bill, Governor Braun could deploy the force anywhere in the state with full police powers, answering directly to the governor, not local leaders. Democrats warn it erodes trust, bypasses local control, and sets a dangerous precedent. Republicans say it's about being prepared, pointing to a similar law passed in Massachusetts after the Boston Marathon bombing. The bill passed the House and now heads to the Indiana Senate. The debate is far from over.
And also the House Bill 1119, not only will it make gas chambers legal, but it'll bring back the firing squad. Now, these two bills are being ran through the legal process in Indiana while, excuse me, while at the same time, ICE detention centers are being built up very quickly. I don't know. I'm not the most intelligent guy in the world, but something tells me that they are preparing for something in the very near future. To have a bill that will to pass bills that will allow for civil disobedience and martial law like activity and people being placed in places where they could potentially be met with a gas chamber or a firing squad. It sounds like you're preparing for an atmosphere where there will be civil law and there will be dissidents, and dissidents will need to be, the people who are dissidents will need to be taken care of in a so-called proper fashion. And see, there's no telling how many other so called states, whether they be so called blue or red, that are trying to pass similar legislation through their respective what's the word I'm looking for? Places of business, whether it be the House, the Senate, whatever the case may be. And this is why I read that 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. All right, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We know that this devil is setting up the pieces for the finale. Because he already knows he wants to crash the economy. He already knows he wants to get this hyperinflation going. He wants people to be homeless and jobless and childless, making them extremely on edge, depressed, violent. He wants people to see all these things and to be in these situations that will incite a desired response that they have already prepared for. It's that their whole concept of problem, reaction, solution. It's like the scripture says, Isaiah 29 and 15. It says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Because this is what the elites do. They are constantly in these backdoor situations. No Diddy, but they're in these backdoor, unseen, unfilmed, private areas where they have the comfort and the safety to be able to talk amongst one another in a manner that's highly unrighteous, creating situations where they actually want to incite mass hysteria, civil war, martial law. This is what they do. And at the end of the day, I don't want to give these devils too much credit, because ultimately this is the Lord's plan. The Lord wants civil unrest. The Lord wants martial law. Now, you got a lot of people who may get butthurt by such a thing, but it's true. Okay? Because it's prophesied by the Lord. Because the Lord said, I think it's return. I think it's, is it Amos? Let me do accomplish. Or is it in Ezekiel? Let me put it on pause and find it real quick. All right, I was super wrong. It's in Isaiah 55 and 11. And it says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. And as I said, that one of the goals is martial law, civil unrest, detention centers. Okay? When you go into 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, it tells you that second Ezra 15 and 16, it tells you, for there shall be sedition, which means a violent uprising among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right, meaning they're not going to have any regard for any person that serves in a position to enforce or make laws. They won't care. So that's all your police, okay? Local and state. It's your military, your National Guard, the UN troops. It's not going to matter. Your senators, your governors, your House representatives, your mayors, your aldermen. It's not going to matter. Because people will be fed up. All right. And you have to remember, in the book of Revelation, it also says that Revelation 2 and 10, it says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. It says, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So, you can't be, if we're going to have all this civil unrest, and there's going to need to be a place for dissidents, then you have to have places to put dissidents. FEMA camps, detention centers, they're all prisons. Okay? So these are the things that the Lord has prophesied is going to happen. All right, because as the Lord said, because of their pride. 2nd Ezra 15 and 18, it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. This is why all these things are happening, because of the pride of this country, especially of the so-called white man, bad Uncle Esau. These are why these things are happening. This is why the Lord has put it on this devil's mind to devise these devices. Okay? What is going on with this? What it said, there are, what does it say? There are many devices, but it's the Lord that, yep, here it is. Proverbs 19 and 21. It says, there are many devices in a man's heart, meaning his mind. Nevertheless, the counsel of Yahweh that shall stand. Okay? So that's why I say I don't want to give this devil too much credit. Because at the end of the day, it's not their plan. It's the Lord's plan. The Lord is putting it in this devil's mind to fulfill prophecy. Which means he's going to be sneaky and do stuff like Minnesota. And while everybody's focused on Minnesota, guess what? We're going to start preparing bills for when we do have insurrections in other places. Therefore, we could just skip all the intermediate steps. We could take them, put them in these camps, pretty much with no trial, with no type of legal representation, a complete violation. I believe that's habeas corpus, and you can just put them to death. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if many other states, especially the red ones, are trying to quickly pass legislation like this. So when this thing actually does pop off in whichever one of these blue cities is going to be, because a lot of this stuff, as we see, it's only happening in blue cities. When it eventually trickles over, I should say cities, but states. When this thing eventually trickles over to the red states, hey, they're going to already have the pieces in order. Everything's going to be put in place to make sure that the continuity of bringing about the new way of life will be easy, you know. So that's all I wanted to say on this. I hope you all were edified. Till the next time, we're going to say shalom.